was hungry, but
why did you say no?
But I grew up in a certain way. When you visit, other people, you don't just go like I'm hungry. A visitor. You don't visit somebody's home as a visitor and then you just go like I'm hungry. So you say no usually, or sometimes you say no. Then the person oh just small. And I say oh no. Then the person oh just small. So I went to my wife's house and then, as usual, I went the same way and I sat. Everybody was eating. And I remember I said no. I got hungry.
So my expectations in this marriage was that I was going to have a peaceful marriage, being married to somebody who is patient with me, loving, with less quarrels. Yes, I got that, but unfortunately the quarrels just keep coming. But it's all good because the quarrels are necessary. After each quarrel, there's always something to learn from it that makes us better. And I'm thankful that you've been very patient up until now, and you are still patient. So, my expectations have been met.
Your expectations have been met.
But in terms of the quarrel side, but it's normal.
Expectations have been met.
It's normal because
5 stars.
You're human. You're human being. 5 stars for you. I don't like giving me money, so I can't give you 5 stars. Please.
4.9999. 4.9999 stars. My expectations. I was getting married as a young man, and I was getting a wife for myself. Beautiful young lady that I was going to do all sort of things and I could
like
do
what?
All things. So that has been met to some extent, but what I didn't know was that there was going to come a time, if for those people who have been blessed with children in their marriage, we have had to enjoy that part of marriage. Sometimes in pregnancy, your wife just wants to be all alone. And there comes the delivery time where she's giving birth and she's breastfeeding, and it's all about diapers and changing diapers, and her mind is
breastfeeding.
In terms of her sensual mind is completely switched off most of the time. Not all the time anyway, but it's not like I expected at that moment. So I've got to learn to readjust.
To be on fire all the time.
Yes, on fire. So I've got to readjust my mind on that, And then there comes you have children who barge into your room at any moment, every time, and privacy. There's no privacy and all sort of things. There are all things that I didn't really think about. I didn't even know. Even if I thought of it, I didn't know the impact of. How much impact they were going to have in our lives. So that's another thing. Personally, I didn't really put so much of expectations on the marriage per se, but then I thought of what I can offer another human being whom I'm married to. So I thought more of that than just going to get stuff. Some gentlemen will talk about just getting somebody who will cook for them when they come home, a meal is set, somebody who, but I didn't think about those things.
That's true. He does all the laundry in the house.
It's one thing that it wasn't part of. I thought of myself as somebody who is going to serve. And I think with those expectations, I didn't have to have any disappointments on that, because I wasn't expecting my wife to be a servant, When I come home, food is ready on the table, and with a flavor and everything, filling the house, and she will wash my clothes and those things. No,
sometimes I jokingly call him servant.
Well, I'm a servant. I don't mind that. I think that as a beautiful name. So it's a good name. The down moment.
The down moment for me, I always remember the day that when we got married, my husband had to work outside of Accra. So most of the time he comes home Friday evening, and then he leaves on Monday morning by 4 a.m. and I have to be the one to drive him to the station to drop him off. And on one of those...
Pick a trotro.
Yes, to pick a trotro. And one of those days I was pregnant. And I was still struggling with this nausea and vomiting and all that. And while I was driving, we got to the roundabout before the station.
And it happened over there.
I started feeling like, I want to throw up, and I just could not control it. And right in the roundabout, I started throwing up. And I remember people were blowing the horn because I had to stop and then start puking. And at that moment, I felt like, it would have been so nice if my husband had cancelled his journey and then probably stayed with me and pamper me small. But I understood the nature of his work, and I wasn't so happy, but there were not too many options available, so I had to, let him go and deal with myself. And before we had that baby too, I remember my husband sent me a very emotional WhatsApp message. Sometimes it's sad that I've lost the messages. He sent me one that the day we are going to have the baby, he's going to be there.
And I was there.
Yes, but you almost missed.
Well, I almost missed.
But you almost missed.
But
so
I was there.
The doctor said, okay, we are going to section you. And this is my husband that was like 3-4 hours.
About 3 hours away.
And it didn't look like he was going to be there. So
it was a Friday.
It was a Thursday.
Okay.
So I remember before, when they were prepping me for theater, I could see my phone ringing and it was hubby calling me, and like, I'm not going to answer that.
But I was there. It was one of the things I wanted to be.
I was very, very down because I was like, he said he was going to be there and he's going to miss it. But thankfully, things didn't really work out so well. So we were not able to go to theater early. Instead of 2, we ended up going around 7 or 8, and he came. I was so happy that he came there. And that story is for another day. So it was a very down moment, but
being married, one thing I think we all didn't expect or think about was the fact that we're going to have arguments, and a lot of them, and some of them were really hot, and some of them, there were times that I felt bad that no, why do we have to be? Because when we were getting married, it wasn't like I wasn't expecting that I was going to get married and have to have arguments. But then we dated for like 4 years before we actually got married, because I was in school. We were both in school around that time, so time just went by, and before we realized it was 4 years, and then we completed school and then we got married. And then we had arguments then whilst we were dating, but when we had arguments, she went back. She was in her home or in her hostel. Me too. I was in a different school at a different place, and things passed. It was so easy. And now we got married, and we had to settle arguments.
Yeah, you have a quarrel, and then the person is in your space.
Yes,
you go to the bathroom, he's there.
When we had a fight or something, she's gone to wherever she is, in a house or in a hostel, and I'm my place. And sometimes even if I don't hear from her the whole day, it just makes things tone down gradually. But now I have to deal with it. And sometimes it was painful because arguments were not so pleasant. But then with time, we realized that after each and every one of them, things got better, understanding.
I'm sure before we leave here, we'll cry.
No. That one, I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
And he says we should eat
everything you want.
Hey, sir.
When we look back on some of the things we quarreled about,
it wasn't necessary.
But then, as time goes on, we get better gradually. We may never be perfect. Nobody really. And when we get to heaven, all the perfection will be ours. But we're getting better each and every day.
Okay, so for me, the 6 years have been fulfilling. Even amidst all the high-low moments, the moments when we had quarrels, we were happy and all that, I still love each and every single time that we spend together. And I'm thankful that we have a blessed marriage. We are friends. Aside everything, we are very good friends.
There's one thing that I wanted to mention. Those days whilst we were dating. Those days when we're dating, we are Christians, and we like to live our lives, make our decisions in that manner. you know, when we're dating, even when we have arguments or fights, my wife, we're not living together. I mean, we're just dating. She's in her school, I'm in my school, you know. So it was easy for me to just bounce back to my spiritual life and just continue things as usual. Even if she was annoyed with me wherever she was, it didn't really affect me that much. But now, when we have an argument and it is not fully sorted out, I cannot be sitting in the next table reading my Bible and pretend to be praying whilst my wife is bitter.
Okay.
It has been one of the most difficult things.
That sometimes that when there's a quarrel, we haven't solved it, and I'm there and I see him update his status and he's talking about marriage. I'm kind of like, what? You come and solve the issue. You don't have the right to talk about marriage, and it's funny, but yeah.
So what I've realized is that you can't have any false sense of spirituality when you are married. You are either pleasing or honoring God wherever you are, whatever you are doing, or you are not. Whereas when you are dating, sometimes you can still go and do all sort of prayers and pretend, and even when you have annoyed your wife or you've done something that upsets your wife and you've not even apologized or something, you can still, because you are alone, you know, you can go ahead and read your Bible and everybody around sees you as the holy sort of person. But when you are married, that other human being becomes a check on you, and you, it's like God is living in, you know, in your room with you, and if you are misbehaving, he looks at you and says, you again. So that has been another difficult thing for me, because now I cannot, the pretense has to come down, which we all do most of the time, you know. You go out and everybody sees you as the most perfect person, but then the person you are dating or the person you are married to doesn't see that, and truly you are not that, but everybody else thinks you are. So that has been another difficult thing for me. But then I've taken it in good faith, and then each and every day I try as much as I can to be honest with myself, with Christ, with the people around, knowing that there's a human being living with me who is checking on everything that I'm doing.
So I look forward to the next 60 years and beyond.
80 years.
Just imagine
80 years
how
will be 100 and over.
So that I'll be changing your diapers.
What if I'm changing your diapers? I could be the one changing your diapers.
I know a couple that have been married for 7 decades and beyond, so it's possible. I look forward to more beautiful years, creating more beautiful memories. I look forward to interesting quarrels. Bring on something new. I'm tired of the baby quarrels. Bring on something new. And I love being married to you.
And I do too.
Oh, that note.